I'm Ethan, 33. My fiancée Lauren announced she'd keep her Denver apartment after our wedding, just in case it doesn't work out, so I pulled our $45,000 offer on our dream house and leased a bachelor loft instead. If you were 33, how would you handle a partner planning a backup? Share your thoughts below. It was April 2024, and we sat at our favorite corner table in the bistro, a cozy spot in Denver's Lodo district with exposed brick walls and soft jazz humming through the air. Lauren and I had been together 4.5 years, engaged for 9 months with our wedding set for August. The evening felt routine, our usual date night, until it wasn't. I just put a $45,000 deposit on a 4-bedroom townhouse in Cherry Creek, the kind of place Lauren had been saving to her online mood board for months. Open concept kitchen, hardwood floors, a backyard she'd already planned for summer barbecues. I was mid-bite fork, hovering over my steak, when Lauren leaned forward, her wine glass catching the candlelight. "I've been thinking about our living situation after the wedding," she said, her voice steady, almost rehearsed. I nodded, expecting her to gush about the house. Instead, she took a deep breath. "The seller countered our offer. If we go up $75,000, it's ours. But I'm keeping my Capitol Hill apartment. You know, just in case." I froze, the fork still in my hand. "Just in case." She tilted her head like she was explaining basic math. "Statistically, a lot of marriages don't last. It's practical to keep my place as a safety net. I'd still pay the $2,100 rent. It's like insurance: you have car insurance, but you don't plan to crash." My stomach twisted. The house was our shared dream, or so I thought. I'd been ready to cover most of the mortgage, assuming we'd build a life together. Now she was planning for our failure before we even started. I set my fork down, the clink loud against the plate. "So you're keeping your apartment in case we divorce?" "Don't take it personally," she said, smiling as if that softened it. "It's just smart planning." I nodded slowly, forcing a grin. "Smart planning. Got it." Her smile widened, relieved, like she'd won me over. "So you'll call Amanda about raising the offer tomorrow?" she asked, sipping her wine. "Absolutely," I said, my voice calm but my mind racing. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. Lauren chatted about wedding details, florist options, table settings, while I stared at my plate, replaying her words. Just in case. She wasn't just keeping an apartment, she was keeping an exit. I'd spent months envisioning our life in that Cherry Creek house, picturing kids running through the backyard, holidays with family. But Lauren, she was already imagining the end, with me footing the bill for our shared future while she held on to her $2,100 a month escape hatch. Driving home, Denver's skyline glittering against the night, I felt the weight of her words settle in. This wasn't about a house or money, it was about trust, or the lack of it. Lauren wanted security, but only for herself. I'd always seen us as a team equals building something together. Now I saw a different picture: me carrying the load while she kept one foot out the door. By the time I pulled into my parking spot, I knew I couldn't let this slide. I wasn't going to beg for her commitment or bankroll her backup plan. If she wanted to play it safe, I'd play smarter. I'd call Amanda, our realtor, in the morning, not to raise the offer, but to pull it entirely. Lauren thought she was being practical. I'd show her what practical really looked like. April 2024, Denver. At 33, I realized Lauren's insurance meant I'd be the only one all in on our future. The morning after our dinner at the bistro, I sat in my downtown Denver office, the city's skyline framed by the window. My coffee had gone cold, but my mind was sharp, replaying Lauren's words just in case. She wanted to keep her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment as a safety net, while I'd be the one anchoring our dream house in Cherry Creek, with a $45,000 deposit already on the line. The unfairness gnawed at me. If she was planning for failure, why should I bet everything on us? I picked up my phone and dialed Amanda, our realtor. Her cheerful voice answered, expecting good news. "Ethan, you ready to raise that offer? I think another $75,000 seals the deal." "Actually," I said, leaning back in my chair, "I'm pulling the offer. Plans changed." A pause. "Wait, what? You're so close. Is something wrong with the house?" "No, just reconsidering my options." I kept it vague, but my decision was firm. The Cherry Creek townhouse, Lauren's moodboard fantasy, was no longer our future. After hanging up, I called Lucas, an old college buddy who managed properties in Denver. "That Rhino loft you mentioned," I said, "the one with the home office. Is it still available?" "The bachelor special," Lucas chuckled. "I thought you and Lauren were buying that Cherry Creek place." "Change of plans," I said. "Can I see it today?" By noon, I was standing in the loft, a sleek modern space in Denver's Rhino district. Floor to ceiling, windows exposed brick, a compact office nook perfect for a single guy like me. It wasn't built for a couple, and that was the point. I signed a 2-year lease for $2,800 a month, right there, the pen steady in my hand. As I looked out over the city, a weight lifted. This was my space, my choice. That evening, Lauren called during her lunch break, her voice bright with expectation. "Hey, did you talk to Amanda about the counteroffer? Are we getting the house?" "I talked to Amanda," I said, sitting on the bare floor of my new loft. "I withdrew our $45,000 offer. Silence stretched across the line. You what? Why? I got to thinking about what you said, smart planning being practical. So I leased a one-bedroom loft in Reno. It's perfect for me. For you, her voice sharpened. What about me? Where am I supposed to live after the wedding? In your Capitol Hill apartment, I said, keeping my tone even. The one you're keeping just in case, remember? That's not what I meant, she snapped. I'm keeping it as a backup. We're supposed to live together in the house. Oh, my mistake, I said, letting a hint of sarcasm slip. When you said just in case, I thought you meant you'd live there. This loft's not big enough for two. The line went dead. I leaned against the window watching Denver's lights flicker on. Lauren's plan assumed I'd carry the mortgage while she kept her escape hatch. I wasn't playing that game. 20 minutes later, my buzzer rang. Lauren stood at my door, hair messy from her rush over still in her work clothes. We need to talk about this misunderstanding, she said, pushing past me into my temporary apartment. Her eyes darted around like she was looking for evidence of my betrayal. You're being ridiculous. Withdrawing the offer, leasing a loft. What's next, canceling the wedding? I'm being practical, I said, crossing my arms. You opened my eyes to the stats. Marriages fail right, so I'm protecting myself just like you. That's not how it works, she said, her hands flailing. I keep my place as a backup, but we live in the house together. So you'd have an empty apartment sitting there costing $2,100 a month while I pay most of the mortgage. I raised an eyebrow. Doesn't sound fair. Her mouth opened, then closed, her face flushing. The mortgage would be ours, she stammered. Would it? Because you're still paying rent on your safety net. I let the words hang. She had no answer, just a glare before she stormed out. I sat down, the silence of the apartment wrapping around me. Lauren thought she could have it all, security for her risk for me. But I'd flipped the script. This loft, this choice, was my line in the sand. If she wanted a partnership, she'd have to meet me halfway. May 2024, Denver. At 33, I faced Lauren's family and friends defending her smart plan while I built my case. 3 weeks after leasing my Reno loft, I was still settling into my temporary apartment, a small rental near downtown Denver. The boxes were half unpacked, but my mind was clear. Lauren's just-in-case plan, keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment as divorce insurance, had flipped a switch in me. I'd withdrawn our $45,000 deposit on the Cherry Creek townhouse and signed a $2,800 a month lease for a bachelor pad. Lauren called it a misunderstanding. I called it fairness. The pushback started with a phone call from Margaret, Lauren's mom. I was in my kitchen sorting takeout containers when her name lit up my screen. Ethan, sweetheart, she said, her voice soft but deliberate. What's this about a loft? I thought you and Lauren were buying that beautiful Cherry Creek house. I thought so too, I said, keeping my tone even. But Lauren's keeping her apartment just in case things don't work out. She's planning for our divorce before we're married. A long pause. That's not what she meant, Margaret said, but her hesitation told me she wasn't so sure. It's just a precaution. Can't you buy the house anyway? Why would I buy a house for someone who's already got one foot out the door, I asked. She didn't have an answer, just a sigh before saying she'd talk to Lauren. The real ambush came a few days later at my gym in Lodo. I was wiping down a treadmill when Tara, Mia, and Chloe, Lauren's closest friends, cornered me by the water fountain. Tara, the unofficial leader, crossed her arms. Ethan, you're ruining Lauren's life over nothing, she said, her voice sharp. Mia jumped in. She's just being smart, keeping her apartment. You don't need to blow up the wedding. I took a sip of water, buying time. Smart, huh? So it's smart for her to keep a $2,100 a month backup while I pay most of the mortgage on a house we're supposed to share. Chloe frowned, glancing at Tara. Well, women need security, she said, like it was obvious. And men don't, I asked. Lauren wants me to cover the house while she keeps her escape plan. That's not a partnership. Tara shifted her weight, her eyes darting away. Mia opened her mouth, then closed it. Chloe just stared at her sneakers. They had no comeback, and their silence felt like a small victory. I walked away, my heart pounding, but my resolve stronger. That evening, Lauren showed up at my apartment, her laptop under her arm like a weapon. I've got a solution, she announced, flipping it open on my counter. A spreadsheet glowed on the screen, rows of numbers neatly aligned. If we split the house payment 60-40, I can still afford my apartment. See? Everyone wins. I leaned over, scanning her calculations. She'd even included a line for Lauren's security fund, essentially me subsidizing her $2,100 rent. So I said I pay 60% of the mortgage plus most of the bills while you keep your apartment just in case. It's fair, she insisted, her voice rising. I'm paying rent too. Counteroffer, I said, crossing my arms. We both keep our places. After a year of marriage, if things are solid, we look for a house together. A year, her eyes widened. We're supposed to be newlyweds in a gorgeous house, not living like roommates. Then give up the apartment, I said simply. She froze, her fingers hovering over the laptop. I can't, she said, finally, her voice small. What if something happens? Then I guess we have our answer, I said. Lauren slammed the laptop shut and stormed out, leaving her spreadsheets behind. I stood there, staring at the closed door, feeling a mix of frustration and clarity. Her friends, her mom, they all saw her plan as smart, but I saw it for what it was, a one-sided deal where I carried the risk and she kept the safety net. Every push from her side only made me dig in harder. If Lauren wanted a fight over fairness, I was ready. June 2024, Denver. At 33, I discovered Lauren's boldest move, yet forcing me to draw a hard line. 2 months before our planned August wedding, I'd settled into my Reno loft, a sleek space with exposed brick and a view of Denver's skyline. The $2,800 a month lease felt like a declaration of independence after Lauren's bombshell about keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment as divorce insurance. I'd pulled our $45,000 deposit on the Cherry Creek townhouse, refusing to bankroll her one-sided plan. She called it a misunderstanding. I called it a wake-up call. The next escalation came through my phone. I'd posted a photo of my loft on Instagram, a shot of the sun setting over the city, captioned "Loving my new space." Simple, honest, but it lit a fuse. Lucas, one of my groomsmen, called me that evening, his voice a mix of confusion and concern. "Bro, what's this bachelor life vibe on your post? The wedding's in 8 weeks." I leaned against my loft's window, the glass cool against my shoulder. Lauren's keeping her apartment just in case we don't work out. I'm just matching her energy. Lucas let out a low whistle. "That's bold. You sure about this?" "Never been surer," I said, and we hung up. The post wasn't meant to stir drama, but it clearly hit a nerve. That nerve exploded when Lauren showed up at my loft, her sister Sophie in tow. Lauren's hair was frazzled, her eyes blazing as she stormed in. "How dare you," she said, jabbing a finger at me, "posting about your new space like you're calling off the wedding." Sophie crossed her arms, glaring. "You're embarrassing her, Ethan." Everyone's talking. I stayed calm, leaning against my kitchen counter. "I'm not calling off anything. I'm just being honest about my living situation. You're the one keeping your apartment, Lauren, just in case. Remember, that's not the same." Lauren's voice cracked, her hands shaking. "I'm trying to protect myself, not humiliate you." "Protect yourself from what?" I asked. "From me. After 4.5 years, you think I'm the risk?" Sophie stepped forward, her tone sharp. "You're being financially abusive, Ethan. Controlling her with money." I raised an eyebrow. "By not buying a house for someone who's planning for our divorce, I'm protecting myself too. She keeps her apartment, I keep my loft. Fair's fair." Lauren's face flushed, but before she could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Amanda, our realtor, her voice light with amusement. "Ethan, you won't believe this," she said. "Lauren called me about the Cherry Creek house. It's sold, but she asked if she could buy it solo, said you two were restructuring finances. Oh, and she thought your $15,000 earnest money was communal property she could use." I gripped the phone, my jaw tightening. She said, "What?" "Dead serious," Amanda said, chuckling. "When I told her it'd take a 20% down payment, she asked about first-time buyer programs. I shut that down. Your deposit's not hers to claim." I hung up, turning to Lauren and Sophie. "You tried to buy the house without me," I said, my voice low. "Using my $15,000 deposit?" Lauren's eyes widened, caught. "I was trying to fix things," she said. "For us." "By assuming my money's yours while you keep your apartment," I shook my head. "That's not fixing anything. That's you looking out for you." Sophie muttered something about miscommunication, but Lauren just stood there, hands clenched. They left without another word, the door clicking shut behind them. I sank onto my couch, the city lights sprawling outside. Lauren's move wasn't just bold, it was a betrayal. She'd tried to lock me into her dream house while keeping her $2,100 safety net, even going so far as to claim my deposit. Every step she took showed her priority security for her risk for me. I wasn't just drawing a line now, I was building a wall. If she wanted to keep playing games, I'd play smarter. 1 month before our planned August wedding, I was fully settled in my Reno loft, the $2,800 a month space, now my sanctuary. The exposed brick walls and city views grounded me, a stark contrast to the chaos Lauren had stirred. Her just-in-case plan, keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment as divorce insurance, had already cost us the $45,000 deposit on our Cherry Creek dream house. Her latest move, trying to claim my $15,000 earnest money for a solo purchase, had pushed me to a breaking point. I wasn't just questioning our future, I was done carrying her risks. The next blow came from Amanda, our realtor. I was sipping coffee in my loft, the morning sun streaming through the windows, when she called. "Ethan, you're not going to believe this," she said, her tone half amused, half incredulous. "Lauren reached out about a new house, a smaller one, not in Cherry Creek. She applied for a loan and listed you as the primary borrower. No permission, nothing." I set my mug down, the ceramic clinking against the counter. "She did what?" "Yup," Amanda said. "She thought since you're almost married, it's fine." Asked about low down payment options too. I told her it's not happening without your signature. My pulse quickened, but I kept my voice steady. Thanks for the heads up, Amanda. That evening, Lauren showed up at my loft, a stack of papers in her hands. She didn't knock, just buzzed until I let her in. I found a solution, she said, her voice forceful, as she slapped the loan documents on my coffee table. This house is cheaper, perfect for us. The payments are lower than the Cherry Creek place. You can afford it. I glanced at the papers, my name typed neatly at the top. You listed me as the primary borrower, I said, my tone flat, without asking. It's not a big deal, she said, waving it off. We're getting married. What's yours is mine, right? Just sign and we're set. I leaned back, crossing my arms. You're still paying $2,100 a month for your Capitol Hill apartment. Your insurance. Why should I sign for a house when you're already planning to live somewhere else if things go south? Her face flushed. I'm not planning to live there. It's a backup, Ethan. Stop twisting this. Twisting, I said, pointing to the papers. You put my name on a loan without telling me. That's not a backup. That's fraud. She flinched, her hands clenching. You're making me sound like a criminal. I'm trying to fix our future. By locking me into a mortgage while you keep your safety net, I shook my head. If you want a future, give up the apartment. Show me you're all in. I can't, she said, her voice breaking. What if you leave me? What if you cheat? And what if you leave? I shot back. What if you cheat? Your plan only protects you, Lauren, not us. She grabbed the papers, her knuckles white. If you don't sign, I'll tell everyone you're abusive, trying to make me homeless. You have an apartment, I said, my voice cold. $2,100 a month, your words. You're not homeless. She stared at me, her eyes wide, then spun toward the door. If you don't fix this, the wedding's off? I nodded, calm. Okay, if you need a house from me to marry me while keeping your backup, we shouldn't be getting married. Lauren froze her hand on the doorknob. You can't call my bluff like that. I just did, I said. She stormed out the door, slamming behind her. I stood in the quiet of my loft, the city lights flickering outside. Lauren's latest move wasn't just a misstep. It was a neon sign of her priorities. She wanted me to shoulder the risk financially, emotionally, while she kept her exit strategy. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. If she wanted to escalate, I'd hold my ground. The line was drawn, and I wasn't crossing it. Mid-July, 3 weeks before our planned August wedding, I was finding my rhythm in my Reno loft, the $2,800 a month space, now fully my own. Lauren's attempt to lock me into a loan without my consent, listing me as the primary borrower for a house, while keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment, had sealed my decision. I wasn't just protecting my finances, I was protecting my future. Her threats to call me abusive only sharpened my resolve. The next wave hit when my mom called, her voice tight with confusion. I met her at a small coffee shop in Denver's Lodo district, the kind with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh espresso. She slid a wedding invitation across the table, her brow furrowed. It was one of ours, but updated with the address of the Cherry Creek townhouse we'd lost when I pulled our $45,000 deposit. Ethan, she said, this says, you're moving into this house. I thought you got the loft. I stared at the invitation, my jaw tightening. I did. That house is sold. Lauren's spinning a story. She told everyone you're working through it, my mom said, shaking her head. Family friends, even my book club's asking about your new home. What's going on? I leaned back, sipping my coffee. Lauren's keeping her apartment as divorce insurance. She wants me to buy a house while she keeps her backup. I'm not playing along. My mom's eyes softened, but she didn't push. You're sure about this? She asked. Positive, I said. That evening, my phone buzzed with notifications. Sophie, Lauren's sister, had posted online a long rant accusing me of abandoning Lauren and ruining her dream wedding. He's living it up in his bachelor loft while my sister's heartbroken, she wrote. The comments were worse. Tara, one of Lauren's friends, added, I told her to wait until after the wedding to mention the apartment. Mia chimed in. Should have locked in the house first. Chloe's was blunt. This is why you don't trust guys who demand equality. I scrolled through, my stomach churning, but my mind clear. Their words weren't just a defense of Lauren, they were a confession. She'd planned to keep her $2,100 a month apartment a secret until we were married, locking me into a mortgage while she held her escape hatch. It wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a strategy. I texted Lauren, my fingers steady. You need to tell people the truth about the house. It's sold and I'm not buying another one. Her reply came fast, sharp. Buy a house and it'll be the truth. I don't care which one. I set the phone down, the screen glowing in the dim light of my loft. She wasn't even pretending anymore. Lauren wanted me to fund her dream while she kept her safety net, and now she was rewriting our story to paint me as the villain. I wasn't surprised, but it stung. 4.5 years together, and this was who she was. The next day, I walked through Lodo, the summer air warm against my skin. My mom's call Sophie's post. The fake invitations, they were all pieces of Lauren's crumbling narrative. She'd tried to control the story, but the truth was slipping out. Her friends' comments had exposed her plan, and my refusal to play along was starting to shift the tide. I wasn't the one running from commitment. She was. I sat on a bench watching the city move around me. The wedding was weeks away, but it felt like a finish line I no longer wanted to cross. Lauren's lies were piling up, and I wasn't going to let them bury me. If she wanted to keep pushing, I was ready for the final stand. Late July, 2 weeks before our planned August wedding, my Reno loft had become my fortress. The $2,800 a month space with its clean lines and city views stood as a testament to my choice to protect myself. Lauren's actions, keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment, faking a loan application in my name, sending out invitations with the sold Cherry Creek house address, had stripped away any illusion of partnership. Her latest move, spinning me as the villain online, only hardened my stance. I wasn't backing down. The confrontation came like a storm. Lauren, her mom Margaret, and her dad Thomas showed up at my loft unannounced. Lauren burst through the door, her eyes red but defiant. "You're destroying everything," she said, her voice sharp. "Your Instagram post, the loft pulling the house offer. How could you?" Margaret stood behind her, wringing her hands. Thomas, a broad-shouldered contractor with a face weathered by years on job sites, stepped forward. "Ethan, this has gone far enough," he said, his voice heavy with authority. "My daughter's heartbroken. You're going to buy a house, marry her, and stop this nonsense." I leaned against my counter, arms crossed. Nonsense. Lauren's keeping her $2,100 a month apartment as divorce insurance. She tried to put me on a loan without my consent. She sent out fake invitations, claiming we're moving into a house that's already sold, and I'm the problem. Margaret's voice was soft, pleading. "She just wants security, Ethan. It's a small thing keeping her apartment." "Small?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "She's planning for our marriage to fail before it starts. Why should I buy a house for someone who's already got one foot out the door?" Thomas's face reddened. "You're supposed to provide for her. That's what men do." "Provide," I said, my voice steady. I was ready to Thomas. 4.5 years I've been all in. "But Lauren wants me to carry the mortgage while she keeps her escape plan. That's not a marriage, it's a transaction." Lauren's hands clenched, her voice rising. "You're twisting this. I just want to feel safe." "Safe from what?" I asked, stepping forward. "From me. You've known me for years. I've never cheated, never hurt you. Yet you're planning for me to fail. What does that say about you?" Sophie, who'd been quiet, piped up. "You're making her look bad, Ethan. Everyone's talking about your loft post." "Good," I said. "They should know the truth. Your sister sent out fake invitations, Sophie. She tried to use my $15,000 deposit without asking. She's not the victim here." Lauren's eyes welled up, but her tears felt rehearsed. "I just wanted security," she said, her voice breaking. "Then you should have trusted me," I said. "I'm done. If you need a house to marry me while keeping your $2,100 safety net, we're not getting married." The room went still. Thomas's jaw tightened, Margaret's hands froze, and Sophie looked away. Lauren stared at me, her face pale. "You don't mean that," she whispered. "I do," I said, my voice calm but final. "We're done." Thomas took a step closer, his voice low. "You'll regret this, son. You don't walk away from my daughter." "I'm walking away from a one-sided deal," I said. "Lauren's shown me who she is. I believe her." Margaret tried one last plea. "Can't we work this out?" I shook my head. "Not when she's already planning for the end." Lauren grabbed her bag, her tears gone as quickly as they'd come. She stormed out, Sophie and Thomas trailing behind. The door clicked shut, leaving me in the quiet of my loft. I stood by the window, Denver skyline sprawling below. For the first time in months, I felt free, not angry, not hurt, just free. Lauren had pushed, and I'd pushed back. The wedding was off, and I was ready to move on. The wedding date came and went, a quiet day in my $2,800 a month Reno loft. The space brick walls, open layout, city views felt like a fresh start. Canceling the wedding 2 weeks earlier had been a weight off my shoulders. Lauren's insistence on keeping her $2,100 a month Capitol Hill apartment as divorce insurance, her fake loan application, and those fraudulent invitations listing a sold Cherry Creek house had shown me her true priorities. I wasn't the villain she'd painted. I was just done carrying her risks. Lauren didn't let it go quietly. She told everyone it was a mutual decision, but the truth slipped out. Tara, one of her friends, messaged me one evening as I sat on my couch, the Denver skyline glowing outside. "Lauren misses you," she wrote. "She knows keeping the apartment was a mistake." I typed back, my fingers steady. She wanted security. She's got it, her $2,100 a month apartment. She's safe now. Tara didn't reply. I leaned back, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Lauren's security came at a cost. I'd heard through mutual friends that she'd taken on a roommate to afford the $2,100 rent. The roommate's boyfriend practically lived there, turning Lauren's so-called sanctuary into a cramped, chaotic space. She'd even had to give up her car lease, unable to juggle the payments. Meanwhile, I was moving forward. I'd joined a cycling group in Denver, hitting the trails around the city on weekends. That's where I met Olivia, a sharp, easygoing woman with a laugh that cut through my lingering doubts. Over coffee after a ride, I told her the story. Lauren's apartment plan, the fake loan, the invitations. Olivia leaned back, her eyes wide. She really thought you'd buy a house while she kept an escape hatch. That's wild. I chuckled, the first real laugh I'd had in months. Wild's one word for it. Olivia's reaction was a breath of fresh air. She didn't see me as the bad guy, and neither did I. My loft, my life, it was all falling into place. The cycling trails, the open road, the quiet of my own space, they were reminders of what I'd gained by walking away. Lauren, though, was still spinning her narrative. I got a text from her one night, a long string of complaints. The apartment's too expensive alone, she wrote. I had to give up my car. My dad won't help because he thinks I should have married you. This is your fault. I stared at the screen, the words glowing in the dark. My fault. She'd built her safety net brick by brick with her $2,100 rent and her secret plans. I'd offered her a partnership, and she'd chosen an exit strategy. I didn't reply. A month later, Tara tried again, her message softer. Lauren's struggling, Ethan. She just wanted to feel safe. She is safe, I wrote back. In her apartment. Just like she planned. I hit send and set the phone down. Lauren's struggles weren't my burden. She'd wanted security, but only for herself. Her friends' comments online, Sophie's rant, the fake invitations, they'd all exposed her. Now she was living the life she'd chosen, a crowded apartment, a lost car, a story no one fully bought. I stepped onto my loft's balcony, the August air warm against my skin. Denver stretched out below, alive with possibility. I was 33, free, and building a life that felt right. Olivia's laugh echoed in my mind, and I knew I'd made the right call. Lauren had shown me who she was, and I'd believed her. Sometimes the smartest move is walking away. Standing on my Reno loft's balcony, Denver's lights stretching out below, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. At 33, I'd walked away from a wedding that would have tied me to Lauren's one-sided plan. Her $2,100 a month apartment, her fake loan, her lies about our dream house. Her choices showed me who she was, someone who wanted security, but only for herself. I chose to believe her and protect my own future. The lesson hit hard but clear: when someone shows you their priorities, trust them. Don't wait for them to change. Act to guard your own heart and wallet. I'm happier now, building a life that feels true with people like Olivia, who see partnership as equal ground. What's your story of standing your ground? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear how you found your freedom.